to go on, what's happiness? You look at this picture, right? You see this girl just being happy with balloons, something very simple, running with balloons. It's a simple act, but people really feel happy. So if we look at the definition, happiness is a very deep sense of flourishing. It is an optimal state of being. There is not a fleeting emotion. Fleeting is not just for that moment. That's joy. Like which is good, It's good for health. But it's happiness has to be sustainable. This is where I must say this. I'm not an expert, but you notice that there are certain people who may be addicted. They use addiction. I'm not saying they are bad people, but addiction can be, to anything, to even to sugar. They have emotional. They feel down emotionally. I'm sure you have seen people eat one tub of ice cream or chocolates. This is to get that pleasure, to get that dopamine boost in the brain. However, it's not wrong. However, it's destructive to the body. Chocolates, it's very right. So how can we get that happiness without being destructive? We want that happiness, but without being destructive. And of course, I have had friends who during my PhD, there was this really, really nice guy. So whenever he was he was stuck with something, he will smoke, and he knows it's not good for him, but he wants to get that sense of happiness or flourishing for that fleeting moment. But it's not like that. So happiness will be positive emotions and life satisfaction. So what do we mean by being satisfied with life? What it means is we generally feel happy. We feel comfortable with our state of life, with family, with work, with ourselves, with our physical health and mental health. And we accept that life will be challenging, but we believe that we can overcome them. We have the resources. We have the physical resources and the mental resources to overcome them. One quick example is someone who has lost the job. That person doesn't panic. That person is still happy and functioning. Lives life because the person has resources. He or she has planned for it. Savings. What do I do next? Is there a particular certification that I can? There's proper strategies to get that satisfaction and move on with life. So we look at psychology. I will not go too deep into this. We look at hedonic psychology. So there's eudaimonic and hedonic psychology. So there's presence of positive feelings, absence of negative moods. What do I mean? This is definitely not material. So one example, you see a person, okay, I know this example is cliche, right? This person has a Lamborghini. And wow, we think that this person is really wealthy and everything. But he or she may not be happy, despite having 3 Lamborghinis, for example. Maybe there is a part of his or her life that's not very well. However, there could be someone who, very simple, takes the MRT, but very positive about life, very contented, family, health, work, right? So that person constantly experiences positive emotions. Now, how do we get that? Satisfaction with various domains of life. How do we get that? One of the ways we can get that is building resilience. That's just one. Maybe I will put more. The other one is gratitude, feelings of gratitude. Therefore, to have Lamborghinis is not really the problem. It's completely fine if the person can afford it. But it's more about building resilience, living life, knowing that life will throw curveballs, and being able to strategize to handle those challenges and having a vision at the end, right? So I will now go into the strategies. Now, you may be wondering, what in the world am I talking about? Discovery phase, Later we will have a dream and we will have a destiny. I will tell you where I got it from. This is actually a strategy that was adapted from a methodology. I will share more, but this slide or this approach that I use is where I hope you will share, Lionel Patson, and it will get you thinking about your life. These are strategies to get you thinking, right? So we have discovery. So if you look at excellence, our discovery is based on dialogue, finding what works, thinking about the organization or community's success, strength, and periods of excellence. So you can use this for your organization, you can use this for yourself. So right now we are not thinking about community or organization, we are thinking about you. So think about your strength. What have people said about you? That's good, that's strong. What have you done well? And examples where you have been at your best. And now I just use organization generically, but now we are talking about you. Identify the common factors in all your stories. You can share some right now, which is why I say take the time to reflect. Consider positive moments in your life.
I think one of the highlights for me in my life more recently is when I actually wrote and published a book. It's not a very thick
Wow.
book. It's not like, that thick, but it's a thin one. But my very first, and it was something I um, had wanted to do, and maybe you can call it a dream, that I can at least call myself an author now. So I worked at it, and the process was really enjoyable. Actually, it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was. Yeah, and so I did it. That was just after the pandemic.
Wow, congratulations. And to write a book is not easy. And a quick question. Was it easy to be able to author that book?
Uh, It was for me because I have been writing a lot before that. So it was not something like, I had to make myself sit down for an hour a day and, just keep writing. But although that's what I did too, I just made it a point to write at least an hour a day, uh, nonstop, and just keep writing. But I already had a lot of material, and so a lot of it was collating, compiling those material, organizing them, uh, beefing them up, adding more flesh to it, making, yeah, making more examples and things like that. Yeah, so it wasn't something I had to start from scratch. So in that sense, it was easy.
Yeah. So, thank you, because it's really you very nicely said. You have actually shared the steps that you took to allow you to be there, to allow you to achieve your goal, right? The fact that you have been writing, you have strength, you are a good writer, you are disciplined. What I saw, you said, even though you have stuff, you have material, you sat down every day, right? The discipline, the commitment to the goal has to be there. Um, Of course, there are differences between all these words. Probably we will not discuss them in depth today. But what about, before we listen to what Lionel has to share, there will be occasions where it is challenging, right, to produce or to write, and then that's where you need your resources. That's where you need your resilience. You need your strength. Um, to be able to overcome the
Yes.
challenges and achieve what you
Yeah.
aim for.
You're right. There
S-
were days where you just didn't feel like writing. There were days that nothing came out. There were days where you felt, is this all worthwhile? Even I got the manuscript and all that. Will any publisher want to publish it? Will anybody want to read it? And so all those thoughts, and you just got to tell yourself. And I told myself, um, that's another, another question to answer. The main question is, when I'm writing this, it's for me, right? For me to be able to accomplish this. My goal is to write a book. My goal is not to be a number one selling author.
So the goal setting is also very realistic, right? All the steps. So you're mindful of your strength. You use them wisely to achieve that goal. You're committed to it. You're disciplined. So all these are the concrete strategies. Lionel, what about you? Anything that you would like to share? I mean, if you, yeah.
So I think you want to share like when I feel at my best.
A high point in your life, or something that you have achieved recently that made you really happy, and you when you achieve this, you were using your strengths.
Maybe like when I was studying, I think it was quite tough. So I had to my path wasn't really straightforward. I didn't get a degree immediately. I had to work first, and then pay for my school, and also I also went to Australia in the end, like to take the exams. So it's like many years of working and studying and all that. I think it was tough, and I think what kept me going was also just this need to. I mean, there are days when you feel very tired and all that. Maybe you can take a break, but you need to get back to it. I think more like consistency is more important than like spurts of like you do more work on particular days. But I think you do a bit every day. It's better than doing a huge chunk over the weekend. So that's probably something that I felt like was one of the toughest things I did for myself and I achieved. Yeah.
Thank you, Lionel, for sharing. And one of the factors that you mentioned was resilience and perseverance, because to get that law degree, it took you many years. Even before you started the degree, you were already working to save up and so on. There are others, or there are people who might have given up, but you didn't. And then even during the degree, it's not going to be easy. There are days, like you said, we have had our tough days, right? Like, for example, recently for me, I had to write an article in a very short period of time. It was very challenging. And I had to write that article together with the work that I'm doing, my teaching, my marking, my other duties at the organization. So that's fine. It's part and parcel of work, right? However, to my horror, during that period, I went down to the car. The whole windscreen was shattered. Something or someone had thrown something on the whole windscreen, shattered the whole thing. Of course, needless to say, I was upset for a few days because I have a family. I try to be careful driving, but yet the car in a safe zone, in my own car park, in a safe zone, this happened. So it made me upset. It affected the writing. But I had to persevere because ultimately I thought to myself, it's not like I'm happy about it, but what I was thinking is no one was in the car, no one was injured, no one was harmed, covered a little bit by insurance, not too bad. The car was sorted out, and I can still drive it now, everything repaired. I still could write. My laptop wasn't smashed. So yeah, it's not that I was happy about it, but yeah, there are things there are strengths, there are good things happening that I'm grateful for, and I could use them to overcome the difficult parts. So probably Lionel Parkson, you were looking at the ultimate goal, that you can actually achieve this, you want to achieve this. So this is the purpose of discovery. What's the strategy here? To discover your strength and to see how you can use the strengths that you have in your favor, in your pursuit, in your journey. Because sometimes people say, oh, be resilient. You must be resilient. Yes, I agree. But what does resilient means? I think I was talking to Parkson about this earlier. Resilient means you're able to bounce back from a difficult situation and remain functional. Because sadly, there are people, they are studying. Something happens to them and they fall. They cannot recover back. They suffer from mental health situations or challenges that they cannot recover back, and they may quit school. They may suffer from certain illnesses, or of course, I wish everyone well, but these can be situations. But to be resilient means to bounce back and to realize that yes, this is difficult, but I have an ultimate goal. I must persevere throughout the journey. So perseverance is, in fact, to keep on going throughout that journey because we want to achieve, we have a purpose, despite the difficult parts. So resilience is more specific for each episode of challenge or difficult situation. So just to give you, what does that mean and how do we apply it in our life? Because if there's confusion, people say the wrong things. So you must be resilient. You cannot be so soft. Sometimes it's not like that.